Back in the 1950s, a huge shift happened in music. The massive acoustic upright bass was replaced by the electric bass guitar. The big game changer was the Fender Precision bass. This guitar had metal frets on the neck, which meant musicians could finally hit every note perfectly without playing out of tune like they did on the upright. The new instrument was compact and way easier to take on tour. And since it plugged into an amp, the bass became loud enough to finally be heard right alongside the drums. The sound back then was warm and mellow because the guitars used special flat wound strings. This new and loud bass laid the groundwork for rock and roll and blues. In Bill Haley's song, the bass walks quickly through the notes, setting a crazy dance tempo. And in Elvis Presley's hit, musician Bill Black picked up the new electric bass and gave the track a sharp, punchy sound. In the 1960s, a second big revolution happened, turning the bass guitar from just a background helper into the main star. This era brought us two legendary guitars, the Fender Jazz Bass with its dual pickups and the British Rickenbacker 4001. But the biggest breakthrough was the invention of round wound strings. Unlike the old, muted strings, these new ones were super bright and had a mean, aggressive growl. Musicians started playing with plastic picks and cranking up the volume on tube amplifiers, giving the bass a powerful rock overdrive. This new, bright sound completely changed rock and soul, making bass lines intricate and melodic. In the famous Beatles song, Paul McCartney came up with a smooth, driving bass pattern that sticks in your head and leads the whole track. And in the Who's rock hit, John Entwistle played the first ever fast and aggressive bass solo. In the 1970s, the bass guitar became incredibly powerful thanks to the introduction of active electronics. The biggest hit of that era was the Music Man Stingray guitar, which had a small built-in preamp inside. Now, bassists could tweak the knobs right on the guitar, making the high end crystal clear and the low end super heavy. The most exciting thing happened in electronics. Moog created the first compact synthesizer, the Mini Moog. This machine could push out such a massive electronic bass that it would literally shake the walls in clubs. These new technologies triggered the explosive era of funk and disco, where the bass became the absolute centerpiece. Musician Larry Graham invented the slap technique, where you slap the strings with your thumb like a drum, making the bass pop and snap. In Chic's biggest disco hit, Bernard Edwards came up with a bass line so groovy and tight that rappers later sampled it to create the world's first hip-hop tracks. In the 1980s, music hit a massive digital boom. Live bass guitars temporarily took a backseat, making way for keyboard synths like the Yamaha DX7 and electronic drum machines. The biggest game changer was the release of the Roland TR 808. Originally, it was just a drum machine, but musicians noticed that if you cranked the kick drum's decay setting to the max, you got this endless and deep bass. That's exactly how the legendary 808 bass was born. At the same time, regular guitars evolved to fretless basses, and those futuristic Steinberger guitars became wildly popular. This new tech completely transformed pop music and early hip-hop, giving them a fully electronic sound. In New Order's massive hit, the pulsing synth bass sounds like a robot's engine. Rappers instantly fell in love with the new gear too. In Africa Bambata's track, Deep 808 Bass laid the foundation for the entire future of rap. In the 1990s, music got tired of the plastic electronic sound and wanted that raw, heavy energy back. The biggest technical shift was the massive switch to 5-string basses. Musicians started tuning their instruments way lower than usual to get a dark and fat sound. To keep this low-end rumble from turning into mud, expensive custom basses like Warwick and Spector became super popular. Meanwhile, in electronic music, producers invented the iconic Reese bass, where you mix two waveforms on a synth. These technologies triggered the eras of alternative rock, nu metal, and hip-hop. In Nirvana's massive hit, Chris Novoselic recorded a simple but heavy bass riff that instantly pulled the listener into a depressing mood. In the 2000s, the bass world hit a massive digital leap. Instead of huge, heavy hardware amps, musicians started using digital multi-effects processors. These devices let you emulate the sound of any studio in the world inside one little box. At the same time, powerful virtual synths made their way into DAWs. The guitars themselves evolved. Two multi-scale basses became super popular. This design made the lower strings longer and the higher strings shorter, keeping ultra-low notes from turning into mud. These technologies triggered the rise of dubstep and alternative rock. The ultimate electronic craze of the decade was the wobble bass. Producers modulated the filters on virtual synths to make the bass modulate rhythmically and creating that famous broken sound. And in rock, Chris Wolstenholme blended a clean bass with a harsh synth distortion, creating one of the fastest and most recognizable rock riffs in history. In the 2010s, the bass finally became the main and most aggressive element in popular music. Computer tech advanced so much that musicians didn't even need real instruments anymore. Everything was being made entirely in the box. The main digital heart of this era was the virtual synth serum, which let you twist and warp the sound however you wanted. Hip-hop saw a massive 808 revolution. Producers learned how to heavily distort the 808 bass, making it literally clip and growl. Another game changer was teaching the bass how to fly. Using the glide feature, 808 notes started smoothly sliding up and down the grid, creating incredible dynamics. These technologies completely shaped the sound of aggressive dubstep and the world-conquering trap scene. In electronic music, Skrillex was the absolute king. His tracks blew everyone's minds with that insane growl-based sound. And in rap, Metro Boomin's beats for Future and Drake set a whole new standard for trap, where that exact distorted 808 bass carries the entire melody. Nowadays, the biggest technical trick is splitting the bass into two independent layers, an absolutely clean low sub bass that gives you that physical vibration, and a distorted mid bass. To fit the bass perfectly with the kick, producers use sidechain plugins to duck the bass frequencies for a split second. In modern rap, producers for artists like Yeat started a trend of using endless droning basses without the initial kick transient. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and watch the previous one.